Hi, it's Wednesday, and that means it's time for another video edition of Widower Wednesday. I'm Abel Keogh, author of the book Dating a Widower, and today we're going to discuss the best way to handle manipulative adult children who are trying to tear apart your relationship. Issues with adult children, it's the number two reason behind the widower relationship breakups. I'll discuss the number one reason in my next video, by the way, but just so you know, this is the number two reason that widower relationships come to an end. And the idea for this came from an email that I received, and I'm sharing the email with permission, by the way. But I've decided to share this email because it seems to encapsulate a lot of the issues I see in coaching sessions and on the Dating a Widower Facebook board. Now, the email and the situation I'm going to talk about is specifically about adult children, but you can fill in the blank with toxic in-laws or friends or just anybody else that's manipulative and is not supportive of the relationship and is trying to break you guys up, okay? So, without further ado, here's the email. It goes like this. It says, Abel, I've been dating a widower for 2 years now, and his adult daughter is not happy about our relationship. My question is how to handle adult children who use the grandchildren as a way to manipulate widowers. His daughter refuses to allow me to visit or have anything to do with her kids, ages 3 and 7, and the times I've been around the grandkids, it's very uncomfortable since there was so much discussion of the late wife, and his daughter has implied to her kids that there is something very, very wrong with me and my relationship with their grandfather. He says he doesn't like his daughter's behavior, but she's the one who controls access to the grandkids, and I'm afraid when it comes down to him choosing between me and a 7-year-old grandson, he'll pick the grandson. The pandemic delayed him having to make any decisions since he was mainly seeing his grandkids via video calls, but now that he can see them again in person, it's becoming a problem again. So my widower believes that his daughter can freeze him out of his grandkids' lives by just never allowing him to see the kids and thinks he has to make her happy. So she'll allow him occasionally to see the kids and take his grandson to the football games. What is it that we should do? So, yeah, awful. This is an awful situation, and unfortunately, it's one I see way too often in coaching sessions and things of that nature. So I'm just going to start by saying first, I really understand where this person that sent the email is coming from. It's kind of a personal topic to me. For those who have watched my videos or read some of my books, my late wife Krista, her parents were very manipulative and selfish and toxic people. In fact, if I look back on it, 95% of the arguments and stress that Krista and I had in our marriage was due to her parents. And Krista struggled our entire marriage of between choosing between me and choosing between her parents. And the best times in our marriage was when she chose us, right? I'm married, I'm a grown woman, I'm choosing my husband. And the worst times in our marriage is when she would cave and give in to her parents, their demands for money or other things. But really all the stress in our marriage came down to her parents. And I'm not doing this to bash on our parents, but I'm doing this to say it's hard for relationships to work when you've got someone on the outside trying to tear the relationship apart. And to be fair, I don't think her parents were trying to tear the relationship apart. They were just trying to manipulate their daughter. But it kind of worked on our relationship. You know what I mean? It put a lot of stress there. So anyway, a very personal topic to me, one that I can relate to, and it's one that basically, if you want your relationship to work out, you need to solve the problem. And so I'm going to talk about what is the best way to handle manipulative adult children or other friends and family members that are acting like this. And again, it doesn't have to necessarily be denying access to the grandkids. There's other things that I'll talk about that you can identify here quick if you're in kind of a manipulative or a toxic relationship. So first, there's two decisions that need to be made here before you deal with the daughter. The first thing you need to decide is how serious is this relationship. According to the email here, you've been dating for 2 years, and in my mind, that's plenty of time to decide where this relationship is going. Are you guys looking to get married or something more serious? Then if you are, then the widower needs to treat you. He needs to treat you like number one, and basically it comes down to he needs to decide what's more important. Is it a relationship with you or having a kind of a non-functional or let's just call it unhealthy relationship with his daughter in order to see access to his grandsons? Because choices are going to have to be made here. There's no middle ground. The widower has been trying to do this middle ground thing for 2 years. It doesn't work. It never works. He's never going to make everybody. It's not you're never going to make the daughter happy. You're never going to make your girlfriend happy. So it's time to pretty much decide what it is that you're going to do. Are you going to go full bore into this relationship, or are you going to cut ties? That's basically the first decision that needs to be made. The second decision that needs to be made, assuming that the widower is going to treat you like number one, you need to decide what you're willing to tolerate in a relationship and be able to set those boundaries. Are you okay if the widower goes over, for example, to his daughter's house without you in order to see the grandkids? The answer should be that no. If you're, again, if he's full bore and you're number one in this thing, you both should be able to go over there. Doesn't mean you have to go, but you should both be invited. So anyway, that's kind of the decisions that need to be made, is how serious is this relationship, and if it is serious, you need to decide, and you need to be honest about it, what you're willing to tolerate in this new relationship. So best way to handle adult children, or anyone else for that matter, who are manipulative or trying to tear the relationship apart. Best way to do it is to cut off contact with them. Yes, cutting off contact. I know some of you are thinking like, well, I can't do that. That's my daughter, or that's my son, or that's my friend, or my whatever. But cutting off contact with manipulative people or toxic people is a healthy boundary. Life is about priorities, and you've got to decide what's more important. Is it relationships? Is it your own mental health, or is it giving in to people who just want you to do their bidding? And I understand this decision may not be easy. Again, I'll go back to my thing with Krista. She struggled all the time. What is it that I'm going to do here? Am I going to go out with Abel and friends, or am I going to cave and go, see my parents and see what it is that they're asking for this time? I've seen the struggle, and I honestly wish I would have handled it better on my end. But it's not an easy decision to make. I understand, because your heart's being pulled in here, and widowers I've talked to, like in coaching sessions, who are dealing with this. I've seen them consumed by feelings of guilt and doubt and grief, abandonment, failure, things of that nature. And by the way, if you're in this situation and want to kind of work out how to talk to whoever this manipulative person is in your life, and the best way to kind of deliver the news, you can schedule a coaching session with me. We can set something up. We can go, we can talk about the personal details of what you're dealing with. But again, I've seen it. I've seen the struggle. I've talked to people with the struggle, but you've basically got to cut off contact, and because manipulative people aren't going to change, at least not right away. It's not, if you keep giving into them, they're going to say, well, what I'm doing is working. Why is it that I should change? You need to be able to cut off contact with them and set healthy boundaries and let them know that their behavior is unacceptable, and you'll be happy to reopen the relationship and spend time together again once they can accept the fact that you're in a relationship, and they can accept the relationship and treat this woman as they would their mom or anybody else, right? Or as they would have treated your a late wife. I mean, it's standing up for your new girlfriend, letting people know that she's the priority, and if they're going to interfere in that, that's fine. They can try to interfere, but you're cutting off contact with them. Giving in to manipulative people never works. They keep using you, and they're not going to stop. And I know some of you are thinking, well, if I just get, I end this relationship, they'll be fine with somebody else. No, that's not the way it works. It's not going to stop just because you end a relationship. It's going to continue every time you bring a woman into your life. And in fact, what you're teaching these people is that you're going to cave to them. So I think it'll even extend beyond relationships. You're doing something they don't approve of, well, they're going to start manipulating you, or in this case, hey, you can't see your grandkids unless you do X, Y, and Z. Not a healthy relationship, not good for you, not good for the daughter, not good for the grandkids to actually see this in action. So grow a spine and cut off the toxic people from your life. And again, I understand this is not an easy decision, but you've got to decide, for your own mental health, for your own physical health, and for your life, who is your priority in your life? I'll go back to my relationship with Julie. We've been married 18 years. I've never had a problem making her number one. Even if that's and early in our marriage, it meant redefining some friendships, redefining some relationships with other people that that were friends and family and things like that, that were good friends with me and Krista and things like that. And it just again and by the way, yes, I cut Krista's parents out of my life. I haven't spoken to them in 18 plus years, and I don't have any regrets of that. it's still kind of a tender subject, but I had to cut people out of our life. So in order for our marriage to succeed, and I have no regrets about absolutely doing that. So it's time for either the widower needs to grow a spine and set healthy boundaries, and if he can't do it, then you need to grow a spine and say, you know what, I need to be with someone who can actually prioritize me, and you need to leave. So in a nutshell, that's what you need to do. I know some of you are watching this and wondering, well, I'm in a relationship, there's issues, but whatever. They're not denying access to my grandkids. So how do I know if I'm in a manipulative relationship? So here's 5 ways that you know that you're in that there's a bad relationship going on. So first of all, if they're abusive mentally or physically, and in this case, I would define as denying access to your grandkids as mental abuse there. So if there's kind of a mental or physical abuse on, obviously it's a sign of a bad, toxic, manipulative relationship. Second one is that the relationship causes so much stress that you spend time and energy dealing with them. You're losing sleep over it, et cetera, et cetera. Basically, that there's just a lot of stress in your life about it. A third way to know is if they're playing you against the rest of the family or friends or whatever, is that they're trying to, again, I think in this case it's very obvious what's going on. In other cases it might be not so obvious, but if these people are playing you or the widower or whoever against the rest of the family or friends or whoever, obviously a sign of a manipulative and toxic relationship. If contact with them leaves you feeling ill, so again, whatever you associate with them, and it's always a stressful experience. It's you always feel worse for the experience. And again, I'll go back to Krista's parents. There were some good associations with them, but I would say 9 times out of 10 when I went over there, I felt worse having spent time with them because of just the things that they were doing. And the final one would be the fifth point would be if something bad happens, like when you interact with them. So there's always, I don't know, always drama or some kind of tragedy or something going on. Something bad always happens when you interact with them. It's kind of how you can know if you're in a manipulative or toxic relationship. And again, these relationships are not good. These toxic relationships, they aren't good for marriages, they aren't good for engagements, they aren't good really for anything. And honestly, if you're in a serious relationship, even if you're not engaged, but if you're in a relationship that's heading towards marriage or something like unto it, your priority should be your spouse, your fiance, your girlfriend, whatever it is. It should not be to toxic family members. It should not be to people who are trying to manipulate you and have you live the life that they want and not the life that you want. So set healthy boundaries by cutting them out of your life. I will say I have seen it at times where people have come back, and that's been what it's taken for the people to kind of say, to kind of have a better, healthy relationship. They realize that they're serious about this. I've got to change, and things change. And to be honest, I've seen it where things don't change, and that person is kind of cut out of the life. But that's what life is. It's about making decisions and setting priorities. And honestly, when we're dealing with adults here, and again, I'm not talking minor children or anything like that, but when we're talking about adults here, you've got to do what's best for you. And if that means cutting people out of your life, if that means setting healthy boundaries, then you got to do it. Or otherwise, I guarantee, your relationship, your marriage, anything else will eventually fail. So questions, comments, go ahead and leave them below. You want to schedule a coaching session and talk about toxic or manipulative relationships that you might be experiencing, the best way to deal with them. We can come up with a personalized plan, how to talk to them, things of that nature. Go ahead and schedule a coaching session. Also a link in the description below. Like, subscribe, do all those things. I'll keep making more videos, and I will see you next Wednesday.